Hey, what's up everybody? I'll be after back with a brand new video. So today I want to talk about individuals who are considering, going through a credit sweep. There's a lot of great detail when it comes to credit sweeps, and you're probably asking yourself, like, what is the process? What's the step-by-step process to get it successfully completed? What does a credit sweep comprise of? What are some of the elements in that credit sweep that will help me kind of overcome some of the challenges as I go through credit repair? And what should I anticipate when it comes to credit sweeps? So a credit sweep on a technical perspective is really something that you have to do when you're really looking for a product that you're shortcut. A quick time frame to get results. Try to be as aggressive as possible when it comes to your credit. And the reason why this works is because a lot of people will basically try to go through the credit repair process. They pay on a monthly basis. And it's a very slow process. Sometimes it takes between 6 to 12 months. So it takes a very long time to get the results that you're looking for. Whereas in a credit sweep scenario, you can get results as quickly as 30 to 45 days and sometimes even up to 90 days. And even though that sounds like quite an extensive time from the 90-day period, one of the biggest things about a sweep is the fact that it's very progressive. And the mere fact that it's very aggressive makes it even more interesting, is because a lot of these credit bureaus, when they reach back to you with their letters and when they say, hey, look, we're still investigating, we need a little bit more time, that's demonstration and proof that there's a lot of things going on in the back, right? In terms of investigation, procedures to follow, the type of things that they're doing behind the scenes to make sure that they're actually getting the problem solved for you. Sweeps in general, right? Like, it's been such a convoluted term. A lot of people use it for identity theft. A lot of use it for, all these type of shortcuts on eOscar and all that kind of stuff. And the reality is, when you're looking to clean your credit and you're trying to clean the slate, your objective is to do it legally. So you don't get in trouble when you're trying to go and borrow down the road, because eventually you want to use your credit for something. So historically speaking, there's a lot of individuals who've been using credit sweeps in the wrong fashion. And I think that we have to kind of like debunk that and say, hey, look, this is the time and year that, and moving forward with my life, I'm not going to jeopardize my personal credit profile. I'm not going to use it as a sacrificial lamb because I want to give in to my inner desires of instant gratification. I'll have a lot of things I want to do. I want to be satisfied with myself down the road, and I'm going to do it the right way. And the right way of really doing credit sweeps are to make sure that they're done legally. Let me start you off with the first step that you got to always do in a credit sweep. The first thing you got to do is you got to make sure that you take your personal identifications. So on a credit report, whether it be Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax, you have a very detailed snapshot of who you are as a person on an individual basis. That includes your personal profile in terms of your personal first and last names, sometimes a middle initial, sometimes an alias, which indicates otherwise that, hey, this individual right here has a different name. It has sometimes the list of your spouse's common law partners. Sometimes it has a series of different type of social security numbers. It has phone numbers, hundreds of phone numbers, hundreds of addresses. So when it starts, when you look at that as a snapshot, and that's the first step, you look at that and say, this is the thing I'm going to do. I'm going to take care of this information first before moving on to the negative items. And the reason you want to do that is because that information, the sensitive personal data that's there on a credit report, has been submitted by numerous amount of creditor companies, whether it be lenders, whether it be financiers, whether it be creditors or vendors who are like extending you credit. All of these individuals and companies use that information, submit it to the bureaus when they create a profile for you in order to keep submitting on a regular basis. Now, when you submit that information, that means sometimes there's a lot of mistakes. So if you follow my Ultimate Personal Credit Mastery course, if you haven't, the link is below in the description. I discuss a variety of different options to kind of tackle that personal identifier. The biggest thing I talk about is the concept of how the bureaus are interconnected, and the reason why it's important to have linear information across all three, especially when it comes to applying for loans and financing. So that's the first step, right? Like, it's really tackling your personal information, trying to minimizing that, right? That's what we call it, the PI minimizer technique. Really minimizing the personal details that's out there to minimize it so that it doesn't give you liability in the long run. And that's your first step when it comes to your credit sweep. Because when you do it like that and you're very aggressive towards that format, sometimes I even recommend my students and even clients to go and notarize the documents that I prepare for them. The reason why is because it's got a lot more effectiveness when it comes to submitting documentation. So when you go from that process and you start notarizing it, and you start tackling the personal identifiers, the next immediate step would be to look at the items that are derogatory, the negatives that are holding you down, that are weighing your credit score down, and associating all these individual items and personal data that's been removed. The biggest and most factual reason for that is because, hey, what if one of those names names were affiliated with an account like that, and it's been on my report for months, what kind of financial liability does that cause? And I may have lost a home that can be worth potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars of damages. When you put it in that way, when you put it in that context, it's very difficult to argue, because they themselves, the credit bureaus, when you challenge those personal information, made the first step to remove them. So it cannot go against themselves by that decision initially, which means that in the rest of the reporting infrastructure, whether it be today, tomorrow, or a month from now, is extremely questionable. So that's the first step, right? So if you look at it in that context, what happens is it looks like an identity theft strategy, right? Because you are personally identifying it, you are removing those identifiers, and therefore information that's reporting that's not potentially yours or inaccurate is an identity issue, because now all the accounts that are related, whether positive or negative, can be questioned. However, right, in a sweep specifically, you're legally questioning the authenticity and the reporting infrastructure, including compliance, on whether or not they were permitted to submit that data in the first place, given the fact that those personal information was removed. So that's the step-by-step sweep process. When you complete that, what happens is every step of the way it's progressive. Sometimes they'll remove a series of items, sometimes a couple small ones, but the biggest and most important thing is if they've made the decision to remove even a single name, right, it leaves the whole report to exposure, which means that you now can challenge it, question it, and basically demand audits on how the information was gathered in the first place, because now it's potentially damaging your character and your credit score. So in that perspective, what you have to do is you have to continue now. So you've done the personal identifiers, you've related the items to and anchored it to the negative items. The next obvious step is, while you're simultaneously doing these things, you want to be able to reach out to the creditors that you have good relationships with. And the reason I say that is because they're the ones who are going to be extending you positive credit, given the fact that you may have been with them for a long time. Your objective now is to go to them and ask them, hey, I've been with you guys for several years, several months, or whatever the case. I've made positive payments with you guys. I've never been late. I've always kept my balances low. I'm looking for a credit extension. Can you do something for me right now that you got going on without you needing to pull my credit? Because I'm trying to preserve my credit. And when you do it like that, when you approach it to them like that, what happens is they're more likely to extend to you credit. And the reason why this works so well is because you've already established a positive relationship. And this is critical in a credit sweep methodology. The reason why it's critical is because as you're removing these negatives, you want to progressively improve the positives. When you do that, there's a nice balance. So by the time the third month or fourth month comes around on a sweep methodology, what happens is you have a very nice credit score, smoothened up, and you're ready for underwriting in the next couple of months as you start building and leveraging more credit. So I hope this video made sense in terms of how a sweep should be conducted. What are some of the steps that you should technically take when it comes to doing a proper credit sweep? So as you guys know, I put an announcement on the community post of YouTube, and I said, hey, look, on the next update of the Ultimate Personal Credit Mastery, the 2.0, I'm going to teach you guys a step-by-step format of how to do a proper sweep. The exact strategy that I use for hundreds of my customers. If you're interested, you should take advantage of the Ultimate Personal Credit Mastery today. Once that's gone, price is going to go up for the UPCM. I plan on doing that because I'm giving invaluable content, and I think you can benefit from that. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a comment. If you're not subscribed, subscribe and turn that bell icon on, because every time there's a new video like this, you'll be first to be notified. And in the comment section below, tell me about the strategy of the sweep that you like the most, and tell me if it made sense to you. And what are some of the first steps that you're going to do to take credit in your personal matter. I hope this video helped. Once again, this is your guide and mentor, Ali Taraftar. Bye for now.